DreAllDay.com.
Before we start, please like and comment on this video so I can get your feedback. Also, click that subscribe button so you can get all the new content I'm dropping on this channel. And the free book, the mental handbook, physical book, Work on Your Game University, just take care of the shipping and handling, send this right to your doorstep. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today we're talking about the New York Knicks. Derrick Rose called the Knicks a super team. He said, I'm going to let my game speak for itself. I said what I said, and whenever I step on the floor, I'm going to have to prove myself. And we as a team, we're going to have to prove ourselves. New York Knicks won 32 games last year. Derrick Rose has not played in a lot of games for the last couple of years, but Derrick Rose said this is a super team. Derrick Rose is a former MVP. Derrick Rose said, hey, why can't I be MVP? Then he went and won the MVP. So I think we got to give Derrick Rose a little bit of credit here. But let's talk about the New York Knicks overall. First, since Derrick Rose decided to make himself the topic of conversation, let's talk about Derrick Rose. He played 51 games. Let's see. He won the MVP in 2011. That year he averaged 37 minutes a game, scored 25 points per game, 7.5 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, Derrick Rose was on damn fire that year. That was only his third year in the league. He was MVP worthy. He won the MVP that year. The next year he played 39 games. That was the year he played 39 games the next year. That was the lockout season. He played 39 games. He got injured first game of the playoffs. The next year he only played in 10 games because that was part of the injury season. It was part of his same injury, recovering from that ACL. The next year, 2014-2015, he played in 51 out of 82 games. And the next year, this past season, Derrick Rose played in 66 games. So Derrick Rose was kind of Dwayne Wade-ish, I would have to say. I'm a fan of Dwayne Wade, but he was a little bit Dwayne Wade-ish in that he played in the games, but he missed a whole bunch of games. But overall, we're talking about the New York Knicks here. The New York Knicks are a team that I know there are a lot of fans. I know there are a lot of New York fans here. And I think if you're from New York, any part of New York, the entire state of New York, you're better off cheering for the Knicks than you are cheering for the Brooklyn Nets. Because the Brooklyn Nets are going nowhere. They don't even have a future. The Knicks at least got some star players. I think Carmelo Anthony and Derrick Rose both are better than Brook Lopez, but there are some people who may disagree with that. Some people may say Brook is better than both of them, and there's an argument for that. But looking at this team, they are a veteran team. They don't have too many young guys. They got a lot of guys in their high 20s or early 30s, guys who are right in their primes, who we're going to talk about in a minute. But what can this team do this year? They won 32 games this past season. Carmelo Anthony is a max contract star. Derrick Rose, I believe, is still on a max contract. I don't know if he's still a max contract star, but he's still on a pretty high damn contract. And he won the MVP. I think this is a max contract, at least what it was at the time that he signed it. Joakim Noah is on a pretty big deal. What can this team do with the new coach, Jeff Hornacek? What can this team do this year? Looking at this roster, looking at the Eastern Conference, and looking at these players individually, what is this team capable of? Is this a playoff team in the Eastern Conference? I'm going to have to say, just off the top, I think the Knicks do make the playoffs. I think the Knicks make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, and then they're going to get their ass kicked in the first round by a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers or a team like the Toronto Raptors or a team like, who's another team that could kick the Knicks' ass in the first round? Actually, let me take that back. They are going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're going to lose in the first round. I'm not even going to go that far because I gotta look at this roster and let's talk this out. I'm going to think it out while I talk about it here with y'all. Carmelo Anthony, 32 years old this year. I believe he's still in his prime. I think he got another year or two of prime Carmelo basketball left in him, because one reason I think his prime can extend a little bit is because Carmelo is not first of all, one reason why he hasn't had too many deep playoff runs, so he don't have those extra years of playoff games on his body. The second reason is he's not a super athletic guy. He's quick and he can jump, but he's not a super athletic trying to out-jump everybody and outrun everybody. He's more of a floor game type dude, and that's not a bad thing. He does his thing. He averages 25 points a game. So he has more of a floor game. So I think he got a couple prime years still left in him, Carmelo Anthony. The rest of this roster, let's just look at the most significant players that I think will matter for the Knicks this year. They have Anthony Early, who's in I believe it's his second or third year in the NBA. We're going to see if he gets a chance to get out there and play what he does. They signed Brandon Jennings along with Derrick Rose. Let's talk about Brandon Jennings first. Brandon Jennings was a lottery pick that the Knicks actually should have drafted the year that they drafted Who did the Knicks draft the year that they picked? They could have had Brandon Jennings. They drafted somebody else. I don't remember who they drafted. Knicks fans, tell me who they drafted the year that they should have took Brandon Jennings. Whoever they took, it was a bad pick. It was, what the hell was that guy's name? I can't even remember the guy's name. I may think of it while I'm talking about this. But the Knicks drafted somebody that they shouldn't have drafted when they could have picked this guy, Brandon Jennings. Brandon Jennings didn't turn out to be so great of an NBA player. I mean, he's a solid player. He's a guy who can get you 20 points on any given night. I think he gets you 15.7 assists a game as a starting point guard throughout a season. If Brandon Jennings is your starting point guard throughout a season and he's one of your top 3 players, your team is probably not going to make the playoffs. And if they do, they're probably going to get swept in the first round like they did when he, quote-unquote, led the Bucks to the playoffs and they got swept by the Miami Heat in the first round. Remember, Brandon Jennings predicted that they was going to win the series? But anyway, that's a whole different thing. Now, Courtney Lee is a good, solid player. He's a solid role player. I like Courtney Lee as a guy who Courtney Lee could be a role player on a team that wins the championship because he's a solid dude. You know what you're going to get out of him. He don't try to go beyond his means, and you can depend on him. He's a dependable, solid role player. So he's a good guy to have on the Knicks. Joakim Noah. He's coming off an injury. I think Joakim Noah has missed some time over the last couple of seasons just due to injuries. But the year that Derrick Rose missed most of the season, Joakim Noah was damn near an all-star. He was damn near an all-star the year that Derrick Rose missed most of the season. I mean, not an all-star, damn near MVP. I'm getting the words mixed up because I'm looking at this and I'm talking to y'all at the same time. 13-14. The 13-14 NBA season, Joakim averaged 12 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 blocks, damn near 1.5 steals. He was one of the best players in the NBA that year. He was a top 5 MVP candidate that year. But the last 2 years, in 2015, he only played 67 games, so he missed about 15 games, and his stats went way down. His minutes went down, but his stats went down. His shot attempts went down. Everything went down. His rebounds, his assists, his blocks, everything went down in 2015. And then last year, he only played in 29 games total and only started 2 games. How you got Joakim Noah coming off the bench? Chicago Bulls. I don't know what Tom Thibodeau, that wasn't even Tom Thibodeau. That was, who's the guy who's there now? Fred Hoiberg. I have no idea what he was doing having Joakim Noah come off the bench. You don't bring Joakim Noah off the bench. He's a guy who should be starting. At least at this point in his career, he should still be a starter. He's 31. He was 30 last year. He should be starting. Now, Joakim Noah, after barely not playing last year, I knew he was going to get out of Chicago. So he's out of Chicago. So let's see what he does. Let's see what Joakim Noah comes up with this year on the New York Knicks. I think Joakim Noah is from New York, or at least he spent some time in New York. So I think he's happy to be there. He's with his guy, Derrick Rose. I think him and Carmelo have a good relationship even before they got on this team together. So I think the Knicks picking up Joakim was a good pickup. That was a good pickup. They're not going to lose anything by picking up Joakim Noah, except maybe the money they got to pay him if he ends up not healthy. Looking at the rest of this roster, Kristaps Porzingis is actually the future of the Knicks. He is the #1 bright spot that they have for the future. As far as the present, they got these guys that we're talking about now. But the future, Kristaps Porzingis is definitely that. He's only 21 years old, 7 feet tall. We know what Kristaps Porzingis can do. He can dunk on you. He can block your shot. He can hit a 3. He can put the ball on the floor. The guy has a great all-around game. The only issue I think right now with the Knicks is hopefully having Joakim, Melo, and him on the floor together is that he can, first of all, get the damn ball, and second of all, there's enough space for him to do his thing. Because Carmelo ain't no spot-up shooter. Joakim Noah is not a shooter, period. So having Joakim on the floor kind of takes away the spacing of the floor for the Knicks. So I think maybe Joakim is not going to play a super amount of minutes based on how Jeff Hornacek sees things working. Maybe Porzingis and Melo as the 4-5 combination might be the better thing instead of putting Melo at the 3, since Melo ain't really a spot-up shooter. He can shoot, but he ain't a spot-up shooter. So I think Kristaps and Melo together as the bigs, quote-unquote, is a good lineup that Hornacek's going to use many times throughout the season, especially if it proves successful, which I think it will, because Porzingis is the future. The rest of this team, Sasha Vujacic, the machine, he's back in the NBA, or I think he's probably at training camp. So the machine is on the team, but I just mentioned that because I saw his name. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is only 27 years old. He won the MVP 5 years ago. He was 21, 22 years old, won the MVP. He's 27, which means he technically hasn't even approached his prime, if we're just going by prime by age, which I think is around the late 20s into the early 30s. Derrick Rose, it's hard to say what we're going to get out of Derrick Rose because he's gotten injured, then he got injured again, then he had a different injury. Now he's saying this is a super team, and he's talking as if the Knicks is really going to make some noise this year, which I think they can on paper. I mean, you got an MVP in Derrick Rose. A guy who's been MVP worthy at least for one season in Joakim Noah, who's a solid role player on any team, a winning team. Joakim Noah can be. You got Carmelo Anthony, who's a bona fide superstar who can get you 25 points a game. They all play different positions. So you got the point guard, you got the wing/hybrid big guy, Melo, and then you got the traditional big guy in Joakim Noah. Then you got the young upstart hybrid new breed type big man in Kristaps Porzingis. This is an interesting team. I think that's the word that I would use to describe this team as interesting. You got a solid backup guy in Brandon Jennings. You got a solid role player guard in Courtney Lee. The rest of this roster, though, is a whole bunch of question marks. Marshall Plumlee, that's not Mason Plumlee. Marshall Plumlee, yeah, he's a question mark. The rest of this team, Kevin Seraphin, Lance Thomas, J.P. Takoto, Cleanthony Early, Lou Amundson. Lou Amundson I like as a backup guy. He might not play too much, but I like him as a backup. Kyle O'Quinn, another backup guy. Seems like he's been in the NBA forever. He's only 26. The rest of this roster is a question mark. And the new coach, Jeff Hornacek, he's also a question mark. Because what is Jeff Hornacek going to do with this roster? This is a tricky roster to work with. Phil Jackson upstairs in the front office. Who knows what he's trying to make happen? This is a tricky roster to work with. So Knicks fans, I'm not too hype on this team. I'm interested because they got stars. They got Melo, Joakim, Kristaps, Derrick Rose. Those guys are stars. But this roster is, first of all, very thin. There's not much on this team besides those guys. Secondly, I don't know what Hornacek's going to do with this team. He wasn't too great with what he did with the Phoenix team, dealing with those young guys, those new breed guys. This roster is a little bit older, generation older than those guys in Phoenix. So maybe that'll be a little bit easier for Hornacek. Again, I don't know what strings Phil Jackson is trying to pull in the background here. I say the Knicks, if everyone stays healthy, Derrick Rose stays healthy, I don't know what Derrick Rose is at this point. Is he the super athletic guy from 2011, or is he like a less athletic version who's still kind of effective? What is Derrick Rose? Somebody tell me in the comments, what is Derrick Rose right now? I know what Carmelo Anthony is. I don't know what Joakim Noah is on this team. I knew what he was in Chicago. I don't know what he is on this team with this coach playing with a guy like Melo. He's not on the team of all defensive-minded, hard-nosed guys like they were in Chicago on those teams. This Knicks team is definitely not that. Carmelo Anthony, I wouldn't call him a defensive-minded guy. Nothing about Carmelo's game has ever said that to me. Not that he can't play defense, but is he defensive-minded? That's two different things. It's like, it's one thing if you can shoot, but are you outside shooting minded? Are you someone who wants to shoot? There's a couple different things. So I don't know what Joakim is going to do on this team. I don't know what Derrick Rose is going to do, period. I have a pretty good idea what Carmelo Anthony is going to do. As far as Porzingis, I don't know what he's going to be able to do when you got three guys with probably much bigger egos, much longer resumes than him on the team, older than him on the team, if he's even going to get a chance to do whatever it is he can do. And besides these four guys, there ain't nobody else in this team who's taking y'all anywhere besides that 32 wins y'all got last year, Knicks fans. Besides these four guys, there is nothing saying y'all going to win any more than 32 games. But the thing is, three of these four guys are question marks. Rose, Joakim, and Kristaps Porzingis. They're all question marks as to how they're going to work together or what they can even do, Derrick Rose. And then the fourth guy, who's not a question mark, Carmelo Anthony. Listen, Carmelo was the man on this team for how long? How long Carmelo Anthony been in New York? We can look at how long Melo has been in New York and look at how this team has performed, and they haven't really been that great with Carmelo as the man. I think Carmelo Anthony, as much as I'm a fan of Carmelo, I think Carmelo is one of the top, I would say he's one of the top, what group? I'd say at least one of the top 15 players in the league without thinking too deep about who those players are. But as the number one guy on a team, on an NBA team, Carmelo Anthony is not getting you too far. I think he's been in the league long enough. He's been in the NBA 13 years. I think we can all agree to that. That if he's your number one guy, there's a ceiling on how far that team is going. I think Carmelo Anthony as the number one guy is a first round exit basketball team. Maybe if they're lucky, if they got some really good role players and a point guard who knows how to run the show, they can get to the second round. But besides that, this team ain't going too far. If Carmelo is your number one guy, like by far, you're not going too far. So they need Derrick Rose to be a number one guy again. They need Joakim Noah to do his all-around like role player guy. He ain't going to score a bunch of points, but be the role player guy, get 11, 12 rebounds a game, play 30-plus minutes a game. They need that from Joakim. And Kristaps Porzingis needs to take the next step. But again, with Porzingis, I think he's ready to take the next step. But how will he be able to with these other three guys in the way and a new coach? I don't know how he's going to be able to do that. That's the challenge. Carmelo Anthony's been in New York since 2011. He's put up great numbers. He's a workhorse. Guy plays 35 minutes a game. He's getting you anywhere from 23 to 28 points per game every single night. Carmelo gets it done. Stats-wise, you can't go against what this guy's done stats-wise. He has a Hall of Fame resume. If you just look at his numbers, he's definitely a Hall of Famer, in addition to what he's done with the Team USA. Because remember, the Hall of Fame is not the NBA Hall of Fame, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. In addition to him winning the championship his 1 year in college, he definitely got a Hall of Fame resume. But I don't see this team going past the first round with this grouping. Only if. This team goes past the first round if. I'm going to give you a bunch of ifs for this team. Number one, their 3 stars, Melo, Rose, Joakim, they got to stay healthy. The veteran stars, they must stay healthy. Number 2, Kristaps Porzingis must be given room to continue to grow. That's number 2. And that's a big if he's given room to grow. If Joakim, Derrick Rose, and Melo all stay healthy. If Jeff Hornacek can figure out how to make this roster work, he first of all got to figure out what the roster is going to be, because again, this roster is pretty thin, Knicks fans, besides that top 4. They got Courtney Lee is solid. He's solid, and Lou Amundsen is solid. And Brandon Jennings, can we call Brandon Jennings solid? I would have to say no. I can't call Brandon Jennings solid. If Brandon Jennings is your backup point guard, I don't know. Do you win a championship with him as your backup point guard? You tell me. You put him as the backup point guard in Golden State last year, or the backup first guard off the bench for the Cavs last year. Are either of those teams better with him instead of what they had? I would have to say no. I'm just going to have to say no on that. So this is a very thin roster besides your top 4. You got a new coach who I'm not sure how good of a coach Jeff Hornacek is just yet. Y'all going to have to let me know. And the rest of this, and that's it. I think that's it. And then all the pressure and intensity and the attention is going to come to them just from being in New York, and the stars that these guys have been at different points in their careers. This is the biggest wild card in the whole Eastern Conference is the New York Knicks. I say their wins are going to be, this team's going to win between 35 and 45 games this year. If they win less than 35, they probably had some catastrophic injury. And if they win more than 45, that means all 3 of those guys stayed healthy and had like their best bill of health that they had in a while. That's the only way they win more than 45 games. Do the Knicks get out of the first round? If everybody stays healthy, yes. If everybody's healthy, the Knicks do go to the second round. I don't know if they get past that. I would really have to look at the rest of the Eastern Conference for me to say, let's look at that. Let's look at the rest of the Eastern Conference so we can see who the Knicks would actually be playing against. Because we're looking at the East. If the Knicks get out of the first round, I believe the top teams, you got the Cavs, of course. You got the Raptors will be good again. The Heat are not going to be as good, especially if Chris Bosh is not playing. The Hawks, maybe. I think Boston moves up. Yeah, I think the Knicks could actually the Knicks can get to the Eastern Conference Finals if they stay healthy. So this is the thing about the Knicks. That's why it's such a wild card. This team could not make the playoffs at all. I think they could possibly not make the playoffs with this roster. Carmelo was on the team last year. They didn't make the playoffs. Joakim Noah has been on the team. If he gets injured, he's not going to help them make it. Derrick Rose played the majority of the games for the Bulls last year, and they didn't make the playoffs. So, and they had Pau Gasol on the team, and they had Jimmy Butler on the team. Guys who've been all-stars on the team. They didn't make the playoffs. He was MVP. They didn't make the playoffs. I think it's possible this team misses the playoffs completely. I think it's also possible they go to the Eastern Conference Finals to get stepped on by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So there is such a wide range of what's going to happen with this team. I'm sorry, this is not even the best preview because I'm not even telling you what's going to happen. But that's what I think. Knicks fans, y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know in the comments. Leave it in the comments. New York Knicks, I wish I had more to tell y'all, but that's really all I can say about the Knicks. It's just such a wild card in general. Who are we going to talk about next? Let's talk about that. Tomorrow's video where we're giving NBA previews for the 2016-17 season, the Milwaukee Bucks. That'll be definitely an interesting conversation. I think the Bucks are a better team than New York Knicks, in my opinion. But I'm going to tell you why tomorrow. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.